Have you ever had a near-death experience? Or perhaps someone you know may have had a near-death experience? Well, if so, we would love to hear your story and have you as a guest on our podcast. For more information, visit NDE.world. Again, that's NDE.world. We would love to hear your story.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the NDE World Podcast.
Welcome back to NDE World. I am your host, Ashton Lewis, and my lovely assistant, lovely hostess. Are you my assistant or are you my hostess? How do I look at that? I mean,
whatever you want to look at it as, it's fine. I'm here. That's all that matters.
Can we put problem child on that list, like as a third category? You know,
It fits accordingly.
a lovely hostess, Miss Daphne Lynn. Welcome, Miss Daphne. How are you doing today, girl?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm well. We're going to jump straight to the topics at hand, the NDE experience elements, okay? Now, we did touch base a little bit on the elements yesterday, and we're going to jump right into it, like I said, and kind of just really get a little bit more detail on it and comment a little bit more on it. That way, when you have the experience or you hear of an experience or you watch an experience online or you listen to one online or a podcast or whatever, you'll know what these elements are because you can very clearly see that these have a lot of common elements. Not every single one, okay? Because every single NDE is unique to its person, the person that's having it. Okay, at the top of the list, as we mentioned earlier in yesterday's episode, is going to be the actual out-of-body experience, okay? So before we get into these elements, keep in mind that the actual NDE, okay, the actual near-death experience itself is the actual overall experience. When you reflect back in your history, in your mind, okay, the actual experience, okay, that would be the, getting into the wreck, flipping the car, going to the hospital, wrecking the motorcycle or whatever.
Cardiac arrest, whatever it entails.
Exactly. Very good example. Yeah. Whatever that may be, that's the actual experience that brought you close to that, what we call death. So that's where we get the near-death experience, okay? However, we want to look at the actual magical, the mystical, the spiritual part that happens during that experience, okay? And part of the elements that make up that experience is what we're going to look into. And the first one that really kicks it off, like we had mentioned, would be the out-of-body experience, you see, because that is where everything takes place. Because what's happening is they're not experiencing anything here on this level.
Consciously.
Absolutely. So from what I understand, these reports say that they go out of their body on some kind of conscious level and they actually can look down over the body, the physical body,
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and kind of dive into the first topic, the out-of-body experiences, the OBEs. In other words, they're often referred to as OBEs, by the way. I just want to mention that.
Right. And a lot of times these people having these experiences, like you said, looking down on themselves, a lot of times they don't realize that it is their physical body.
Right.
That's what's interesting about it. They have to learn through their NDE that is actually them, and then they realize they have passed that veil into a different realm, and they are having the out-of-body experience.
That's right. That's a very, very good point. And then I've even heard some ask the question, well, if that is me, then who am I?
Exactly, yeah.
So
It's
think about that.
Consciousness. We are spirit.
Absolutely.
Animate in a human body.
Absolutely. And I have a little question I like to ask people. Hey, has any of you guys ever talked to yourselves?
All the time.
And every hand goes up in the audience, all the hands are raised, because we do, And then my next question is,
who are you talking to?
Exactly. Number one, who are you talking to? And number two, who's doing the talking? or who's doing the talking? Yeah, and who are you talking to? So we have to understand that we are, the spiritual being that is connected to the eternal spiritual source, and we all are. All life is.
Right. We're more than this physical, heavy laden down avatar human body that we animate. We are the spiritual of it.
Absolutely.
That exists beyond this realm when this physical no longer exists.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's where it starts. It's the actual, the phenomena of just the consciousness, the soul, the spirit, the part that is actually you, not the actual physical body, because you are a spiritual being here on earth having a physical experience, okay? These bodies are designed for this realm of existence, okay?
Right.
So the out-of-body experience, or the OBE, in these near-death experiences would be the gateway, is where it all starts. So that's where it starts, and typically it's a pleasant, and it's they don't feel any transition, or the transition, they feel it, but they don't really feel the effects. Most don't. It's pretty comfortable compared to the actually having to go back into the body, where a lot of them really complain about that because that's uncomfortable and whatever.
Having to
but
shrink back down into
having to go back into the body, yeah, that's on the return, which we'll talk about.
Right,
But,
we'll cover that more later.
But when they have the out of body, it's like you're still awake. You never died. You never became unconscious or nothing. You're always conscious.
You are your consciousness.
Yeah, and that's what's really cool about it. So that part never changed. It's like that's how you were aware. Like, whoa, that's me. Oh, wow, who am I?
Right.
You see, so anyway, but that's where it starts, with the out-of-body experience. And like we had mentioned before, out-of-body experiences, or OBEs, they don't have to only entail being a part of a near-death experience. People, normal everyday lives, or everyday people have out-of-body experiences for many different reasons. So
you can do it through meditation. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it's not just from something happening and causing a near-death experience. It's
Sure.
just an out-of-body experience, which
Right.
I know people personally that have had OBEs and not in any kind of physical
NDEs.
pain or anything.
Correct. And they didn't have an NDE, but they had the
Right.
OBE. So
Correct.
we will bring, also those as well on to the show, because we, in some future episodes, we're going to start to bring in with some really wonderful guests that we have for you guys, that's going to really share their own personal stories, okay? And we've got some NDEers and the OBEers,
Supernatural stuff.
supernatural, and things beyond belief, and but it's all part of that the spiritual world, So, but
Right.
More specifically, I wanted to mention that with the OBE, that it doesn't have to be strictly just an NDE where a person can experience that, but the OBE is pretty much just that separation of conscious and the body,
Right. And in doing that, some of the experiences, just to share with the listener, is, there's one of a lady who had a surgery and she had the OBE and heard the doctor and her husband talking, down the hallway at the hospital. And then later come back and talk to the doctor and said, hey, why was you this way? What was going on with that? And he didn't realize that she was unawake and on the operating table, but was conscious and heard him. Another one, a lady floating up above the hospital and seeing a shoe down in one of the little in caves in the top of the building. And she told them the doctors about it, and they said, no, that didn't happen. She said, go look up there. I'm telling you, this happened. And they went up there and found a shoe on the top of the hospital.
Absolutely.
So it is a physical thing that is happening with them, but it's not physical, but it's spiritual. That consciousness is above our realm.
Right.
Of the physical.
And also, I've also heard that there is with the spiritual, that there is a spiritual body as well. Spiritual hands, spiritual arms, spiritual legs, like we kind of like as humans as
Energy,
well.
yeah.
It's just that energy, but you still have elements of kind of like a human body. You know, I've also heard that some of it's just all light. There's nothing but light. There's no form.
Right.
You know, so
Yeah.
either way,
It's different to each individual.
yes, and we will all find out one day, sooner or later.
Yes, exactly.
Absolutely. So,
You know,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say in association with the steps that happens with the experience of the NDE, you know, moving on from the OBE, we have the positive feelings, the feelings of peace and unconditional love, like being at home, that most people experience in the next phase of that.
Well, you know, I tell you what. Since you mentioned that, you know, that feeling at home and that things like that. Let's go ahead and jump on to the next topic here. Part of the near-death experience, once you have the OBE, and these aren't really in any particular order. Like, hey, it's like this, and
This
then
is
this,
structured,
and then
right.
this. You know, but these are more the elements. You know, it may appear to someone different and someone else
Exactly,
another
yeah.
way. But
Yeah.
these are more the elements. You know, so the next in line would be the actual, the intense and generally positive emotions or feelings, like the feelings of love and peace and things like that. How would you like to comment on that?
Yeah, most of the ones that I've heard of is just an overwhelming and really hard to describe in human terms.
Right.
The sensation of love that we've never experienced on this realm. That it's very hard for the individuals to describe and put it in words that we can understand. That sense of being at home, that overwhelming love, peace, joy. I mean, it is overwhelming. It's most of the people talk about is overwhelming sense.
Right, absolutely, and to go with that thought, I've heard people say it's on in the realm of beyond human words. In other words, we don't have the words to describe that feeling
experience.
or that experience.
Yeah.
Correct, you know. So we love, and you know, but love is such an umbrella. You know, that
Right.
you can love your mother and you love your father and but it may be a little different the way you love your dog or your cat, or you may
Your children or
well,
your
you
maid
love-
or grandchildren.
You love Chinese food and you love Mexican food, or
Exactly. Football,
you love health
baseball.
foods. You may love football. Correct? Yeah. So love is an umbrella. You know, it you know, it covers so many things. So you have to be really specific about what you're talking about.
And it's totally unconditional.
Absolutely.
It's over, like they say, overwhelming unconditional love.
It's that pure
We
love.
can't experience that here.
Absolutely. It's love. It's what the Christian world or the biblical world calls God.
Agape love.
You know, it's love. It's the agape love. It's God itself. You know,
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're experiencing. You know, in that presence. You know, that's what I'm understanding. It's that love that we, you know,
And that
long
sense
for.
also of the oneness of that you are part of that energy of the source, the God. You're all overpowering sense of oneness.
Correct. Yes. The oneness that we all are, but most people don't know.
Choose to ignore, yeah.
Okay, let's take a look at another element here. How about passing into or through a tunnel?
Yeah, the dark tunnel or lighted tunnel even. I mean, it's different for each one.
But it's like there's always a tunnel.
Yeah, well,
For most,
in-
I mean, because you got to think about there are cultures who may go
That's
through
what I was gonna bring up,
trees and
yeah.
maybe go through other things. Yeah, go ahead. Feel free to comment on that.
It has to do with where you're raised, what your religious beliefs are, you know, what you experience. Some experience walking down a pathway.
Right.
Some experience going into a hole in a tree.
Yeah, yeah.
So it just really depends on what your cultural and religious beliefs are.
And I also, to go with that thought, believe that it also is part of however that divine love, that energy, that source, that life that we all are a part of, how it chooses to appear to you, to me, to him, to her, to every
yes.
individual. I think everybody's going to have their own experience. It's going to have that meaning to them on what, you know, that will change their life. Because from what I understand, these NDEs have spiritual significance for the person when they come out on the other side. It changes their lives in
Exactly.
a lot of times,
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so the tunnel, a lot of do speak of the tunnel.
And then the bright light,
Yes,
the bright
the
light of the
light. Yes,
tunnel.
the bright light.
And a lot of times, not even the tunnel, but just vast darkness. And then they say off in the distance,
Like
a
a
lot
little
of them, but a
pin drop of a
pin
light.
spot of light
Yes.
that gets brighter and brighter. And so it's a darkness
Yes.
with a lot of them.
A lot
and
of times
then
the darkness
light.
does precede, correct. The darkness precedes the tunnel. The darkness does precede the light in a lot of cases, yeah. Well, many cases, yeah. Yeah, you're right, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
And there are times where, like I said, they'll see that light and it comes and usually gets bigger, or they'll go through a tunnel towards that light. I mean, there's something about the darkness into the light. There is that transition,
And I think that ties in with here now. We are really in darkness. A lot of us that don't do the research and learn other things. So a blindness. And then
That's
when
right.
you cross over, you are in that light.
A
You become
spiritual
that
blindness.
light. Exactly. Yes.
And it's really did more harm for humanity than has good. So moving on. Now, another really important element that these NDEs have is the actual encountering other beings, okay? Either mystical beings or even, deceased relatives or friends. Now, some may see maybe a spiritual figure or Jesus, Buddha, Krishna.
Yes.
People, they see those spiritual beings,
Archangels.
or
And,
angels. Yes, archangels. I've heard of guys seeing these little gremlin kind of type little guys, but they were really nice. But I don't know what they were. I mean, it's just different for everybody. I don't
Yes,
know what people are
exactly.
going to see, but that it's not etched in stone what you're going to see. But for the most part, you get a lot of them. They're influenced by that spiritual influence, like
right.
characters like Jesus, Buddha, Krishna.
Yeah. And a lot of them learn that religion is different than the energy, the spirit that place that we go to. So religion is separate
Right.
from what the spiritual is. And in that experience, people do see their family, their friends, their lost loved ones. But also, I'm hearing a lot about your loved pets. Your pets are there in some instances. So it's really to the individual what comforts them and brings them closer to source, that energy that is the source of all things.
Absolutely. So very good. Now, also, the deceased family members. Okay, a lot of people see that the families they're waiting for them, greeting them, and just
Yeah.
waiting for them to come home. Like you said earlier, like you've been gone, and to come on, we're welcoming you, and you just feel that love, and that family's there waiting for you.
One particular, his name was Jose. Oh my gosh, he was on. I'm gonna throw out a name here. Next Level Soul with Alex Ferrara.
Yeah, good, wonderful
Yes,
show. Wonderful show. I love
he-
Alex. Yeah, great work.
Love his show, but one of the guys on there, I think his name was Jose. He had a very hard life with love from his parents.
Yeah.
And his father crossed over, transition before him. He never experienced a hug, a kiss, and I love you from the man's mouth.
Ever in his
Ever
whole
in
life.
his whole life before his father passed away. And in his experience, he got to hug his father for the first time in that spirit realm. He got to hear, I love you. So it is such powerful
Life-changing.
life-changing experiences to have that sense of love that you don't necessarily all of us experience here.
Right.
And that's a beautiful thing to think about, to know that these people are coming back with beautiful stories to tell that changes their lives, that helps them become a better person.
Right, absolutely. Right. And yeah, well said. Well said. I don't I don't I don't know the words to describe these kind of experience, and I can only imagine, growing up from a kind of a, I never really felt that I really got a lot of that as well, and I think most people don't really get the love that they deserve. All of us, and when you have an experience like this, say for example, and I'm familiar with the account you had mentioned earlier about the brother there that he was raised in the Bronx, and he come from a really rough neighborhood upbringing. He was part of a gang. His father used to beat on him, and he grew up with hate. It wasn't hate. It was just whatever it was. I don't want to call it hate, but and that's what blew his mind when he went to the other side, and he said he saw a bunch of about 6 people down by the ocean or walking by the beach or something, and he went down there by them, and one of them was his dad, and he grabbed him and hugged him and told him how much he loved him, and I don't know, it's wild.
Yeah, that he got to experience why his dad was the way he was. He understood all of that, and there was no judgment in it, but he understood why he was raised the way he was.
Absolutely. I think it ties in, and I don't want to jump ahead because we're going to be coming up with it here soon on the life review, but kind of with the life review, he could see what his dad had to go through to be the person he is. Because when you connect with others on the other side, it's a connection like we don't have here.
The oneness that we talked about earlier.
It's that oneness, right? So,
Yes.
so the oneness, when he had that oneness with his dad on the other side, he knew what his dad went through. He felt his dad's pain,
Yes.
his upbringing, and
Instantly.
things like that. Yeah. So
Instantly.
it's
Yeah.
mind blowing, but
Yes, it is.
wonderful experience, and we'll get more into those down the road. Thank you. So let's go ahead and talk about time. All right, we know that time is an actual human construct. Okay, there's no such thing as time in a sense. Okay, it's something that we've created.
In the most purest sense, in this realm.
Yeah. However, there is what we refer to as the eternal now. Okay, there is no past, there is no present. I'm sorry, there is no past, there is no future. Those are elements of the imagination or of the mind. One is a remembering, the other one is a dreaming or fantasizing, okay? They're not real, okay? And even in a truest sense, the present isn't real, and the now isn't real because now, now, okay, now, now,
That
no, too late.
second's gone.
Now,
It's past.
now,
Like
okay,
that.
I can't keep up with it. Oh, wait, now. See, so time is constant. It doesn't stop right now. So these are really human constructs,
So the sense of time is different on the other side.
On the other side, exactly. That's the point. That these NDEers, when they talk about this, there is no sense of time or no element of time, or maybe no linear time, maybe or things maybe all happening at once because it is the now. So you can
Right.
just feel everything. So yeah, absolutely. So
Time, it's
Exactly.
different in time. Sensing of time is totally different.
that's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. And also the another element would be the actual otherworldly or other earthly, like a heavenly. And don't forget there is also the DNDEs,
The distressing
where
NDEs.
people will have to go through distressing NDEs, but it's just part of the experience. You'd have to get purified, to
Purification.
all of us do, to where we're going. All right. There's also in the experiences where people talk about actually gaining knowledge.
Knowledge,
And
yes.
understanding, like
Knowing.
their minds, knowingness. Yeah, just their minds just
Complete
opening
knowing.
up. And I've heard of even people that say, I've got a download, and
Yes,
just all this
it's referred to as-
information. And so any comments on that? What do you think about when it's like the mind just opens up? How
Yeah, it's like they become like this. You use the term here, God, the energy, the source. That they become like that, all knowing. It's an instant download of they know everything that needs to be known.
Yeah, yeah. Could it be that this is something we've already known all along?
That's what from my understanding and my research,
That we already know everything.
We already
We
know
just have to-
everything. We just have forgotten. It's all in our conscience because we're eternal.
Right.
So all the information's there. It's just not remembered at all
We
times.
tap into the Akashic records or something, you know.
Yeah,
go
there
there.
you
But
go.
that might be a fun subject we can maybe talk about later down the road as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and I've also heard, along with the special knowledge, I've even heard of people coming back with certain powers,
Special gifts, yes.
special gifts, and things
Seeing,
like that.
from seeing angels to smelling, seeing, hearing,
Feeling, touching,
Feeling,
just
yeah.
certain, senses,
just
enhanced.
different spiritual special gifts they come back with.
Yep, absolutely.
And it's different for every individual.
And yep, that's the beauty of the NDE, that it is individual. Whereas religion is not individual. Religion wants to pound in your head. You have to accept what we say, what we teach, or you're doomed.
Yeah.
You're damned. That's
That's a whole
that's
nother
not
story.
a oneness there. That's a
Right.
we don't want to go there. But anyway, let's take a couple of more here because I'm looking at the time and we're going to be wrapping up here shortly. Let's look at, how about encountering a boundary or a barrier? Any comments on that?
Oh, well, yes. That they go to their experience and they get to a certain point and maybe their guides or family source, something tells them they can go no farther. They can go no farther. They have to go back.
Right.
Or that's it. It will be an actual death.
An actual death. The
Yeah.
silver cord will be cut.
Yeah, but one thing that I really appreciate, and I think we kind of skipped over this one, after the sense of time changes, the life review.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I did
Life
skip
review.
it.
Oh my gosh.
My bad. I did skip it, and it's usually closer to the beginning from what the stories that
yeah.
I've heard. But let's go ahead and throw that in right now because I totally looked over that right there. I need probably a larger font here for my for my old man eyes here. But yeah, okay. The life review, and also while we're there on the subject of all of this, technically, let's mention telepathy as well. 'Cause
Oh, communication,
telepathy
yes.
is the form of communication while all these things are taking place.
Yeah,
So,
the physical mouth is.
so when you're seeing your parents, it's telepathically you guys are communicating with each other. When you see these angels, it's telepathically. When you have these beings, it's telepathically communicating.
With source, it's
You see
communicating
Jesus, the source.
telepathically.
Yeah. So I did want to mention that as well. That it's different than here on Earth. Okay, even those other dimensions, it could be here on Earth as well. We don't know. It's because it's other dimensions.
Right.
But the point is, it's we use our mouths, for the physical body to really transmit, words and meanings and things like that. But long story short, everything I've ever heard on the other side is
It's
typically telepathically. So
And it's not just like the one-on-one conversations like we're having right now, but it's like you hear everything, everyone in that realm, but you can select, I'm going to communicate directly with this one. It's that oneness, that complete oneness in thought
tap into
and
everybody's
everything.
aware, yeah.
You're aware of everyone there, their thoughts. So that's pretty interesting to know. That it goes back to that being one, the oneness.
wow, it's powerful, very powerful.
It is very powerful.
And here, last one. Actually, we'll do a couple more. I think we can probably squeeze a couple more real quick here. Let's see. Yeah, we got enough time. The return to the body. Okay, either voluntarily,
Or
or
involuntarily.
involuntary. Say, for example, we hear where on the other side, you have the opportunity to come back and go back into that body regardless of how butchered or battered it is. Okay.
Right, yeah. to experience,
broken,
continue to experience life
exactly
on that realm.
Yes. And in some of the NDEs, you have the option. They give you the option if you want to go back, or do you want to go ahead and go with us this way? You have the option. However, it seems to me in most NDEs, which explains NDEs because they come back and tell their stories, is
Involuntary.
they're not allowed to go any farther. They have
That's
to
that
go
boundary.
back. They don't have the choice of going back.
Right.
But when they get ready to go back, they have an issue about they fight it.
Yeah.
They kick
Argue.
with tooth and nail, and they resist. They resist it because once you've experienced this bliss, okay, this total bliss, and now you're back and looking at this, like I said, this mangled body or broken body or whatever,
sickly or whatever.
Absolutely, that's full of pain and dying anyway, and all that love and life that you've experienced. You want to go back, and people literally know I'm not going back.
Right. Yeah.
No, you can't make me go back, or I don't want to go back. It's those kind of comments. No, I don't want to go back, or
right.
whatever.
Yes, you definitely hear that a lot. And one thing I don't say it don't overwhelm me, but it really brings a interest up in me is how big
You are.
the energy, the source of your consciousness seems, because there's been so many accounts that I've heard that they're looking on their body and I'm going to fit back in that.
Right.
And some are like you're going to shrink me and poke me back in that. I mean, and then when they're back, they feel the heaviness of this avatar that we're animating.
Yes.
So it's a sense of huge, vast awareness of yourself. You're free.
You're really free in that
Yeah.
sense. You can't ever be free in this body.
Right.
Never
and then when
be
you get,
disillusioned that you are free, because you're not free.
you're trapped.
You're trapped. You won't be free until you transition.
over, yeah.
And go over to that realm,
Yeah.
So
So you hear that in a lot of the stories is how big they feel and seem,
right.
as compared to having to be crammed back up into our bodies.
Yes. To
Yes.
go with that, I've actually heard the actual adjective. You want me to go back into that tiny thing, into that little body?
Yeah.
I've even actually heard them say that,
Me
because
too.
I would guess that just means that, when you're on the other side, the real you that's conformed to this body, okay, when you have the body restricting you, you can, oh, wow, okay.
Just pop out.
Yeah, wow, that feels
Yeah.
so good. And now you're this 10-foot, 12-foot creature all around.
just this
that
energy,
yeah. Pure
Yeah.
energy. So I can see where they don't want to come back, So, but we're going to have actual live reviews and interviews on the show. So one final one. Looks like it's about time to wrap up.
The
We're going to the actual overall effect. We're going to talk about maybe the lesson learned. Any comments on that? Because there's usually a lesson or some type
Something
of
in it.
life-changing spiritual lesson involved in that experience that makes people go on and really do wonderful things, or just change their life in a way that was maybe totally different the direction they might have been previously going in. So,
Right.
Any comments on that? The lessons.
Just learning the difference in what they were going through in this physical life. They went through the NDE and now they have to literally make life changes. The experience already changed them, but now they have to review what they went through, and there's a lesson in that for each individual.
That's right.
And that's the beauty of it. It's because it can help you to become a better person, to love more, to have a relationship with those that you love, but you keep your arms length at. So there's lessons in every single one of these out-of-body experiences, and the distressing ones. Even with the distressing ones, there's the flip side of the coin for a lot of them that
Changes their
have
lives.
the light side. So they get the experience of both, and they have to come back with a lesson for them. And it's particular to each individual. That's what I appreciate about it. It's just trying to figure out each individual's experience, what they had to come back and learn, what they had to change, what it was.
That's the beauty of it,
Yeah.
you know. And I guess in the end, we are all individuals, but yet at the same time, we are all one.
All one.
That's one of those magical mysteries
Yeah.
of life. You know,
One
like
of the
we always say, and pardon the interruption there, that, you know, one of the greatest mysteries I've ever had to learn is that you are what we call God. Okay, you are
Source
that
energy.
source. Okay,
Yeah.
you are a part of that. So
that took me a while to learn too.
you are God. You always
Mm-hmm.
have been. You always will be. But yet at the same time, you never will be.
Right. I've heard that in some of the NDE's stories that Source gave out each individual piece of himself.
We're all little flames of the fire. Correct.
And then that little source of you goes back to the source itself. So individuals go back to the main source. He's given himself out to experience life.
Or it.
And yeah, well, the
He
she,
is-
the feminine,
yes,
the masculine,
correct.
feminine is the energy source.
You're
Yes.
absolutely right.
So, yeah. It's lessons for all of us, really. If you take the time and really dig into it and research it and study it, there's beauty in it and love that the whole world needs to know about.
Absolutely. Well said. And on that note, folks, we're going to go ahead and wrap things up for this episode. And it's so wonderful to have you guys out there listening to us. And hopefully we are sharing something that you guys are interested in. And if you got any questions, feel free to contact us, and we'll be more than happy to answer any questions that we are aware of or have the knowledge to share with anyone. And I do want to mention that soon we are going to be doing live interviews, and we're going to be doing live reviews of both NDEers and the OBEers. That would be the near-death experiencers and the out-of-body experiencers as well. And also other phenomena and things like
Extraordinary
that.
events.
Extraordinary, yeah. And the beyond belief kind of type supernatural stuff. So we'll
Those
touch
things that make
base
you
on
go,
that.
oh,
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. So thank you so much. We appreciate you guys. And
I love you guys.
yes, we do. Peace and love. And again, I'm Ashton Lewis, and my lovely assistant here, Miss Daphne Lynn. We wish you guys well, and we love you all, and peace
and
be
love.
with you.